Another week and another Analog Pocket core is released. Holy moly! This time we're dialing in the clock back to 1972. Wow, well before we're even born. What does our Analogue-stan think of this new release?
Thank you, Stephen. So credit goes out to AGG23. So they've released a core this week, and it is the 1972 Atari arcade classic PONG. This is the original arcade version, so it's two-player mode only. There's no AI, and it's just like it is in the arcade. And what I thought was really interesting about this was, so I tried this out on my Pocket. I spent more time trying to get my dock working again, and it was all screwy. The thing that was interesting to me about this is just how, AGG23, and it's probably being a bit humble as well, is like relatively new to FPGA development and was actually able to build something like this with this sort of analog framework. And like just in general, like I think it's awesome time to have a Pocket and just to see the sort of development that it's occurring with a Pocket. Like, we're kind of joking at the start that it feels like every week something's happening, but it is like that at the moment. And, it's also for me very inevitable. You will start getting things like the NES and like the SNES and the Genesis and I think it's just going to be super awesome when those things happen. So yeah, it's awesome to have a Pocket. It's, like I said, it went from being like something that I definitely love, but there's sort of some quirks and caveats around it. To me, it's kind of like if you're into retro stuff and you like playing handheld, it feels kind of like a must-buy purchase, personally, for me. Unfortunately, they don't have enough stock to...
Yeah, if you can get your hands on one, that's the problem.
You can still order them at least, so it's just a long wait.
I need to ask you about Pong then.
Yes.
You're saying it's two-player only.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I can understand when you docked how you could make that work. How do you make that work handheld? Like, what's the deal? Can you just not play it handheld?
No, I played this. I played with myself. So what you do is, I don't have unfortunately, I usually have my Pocket on my desk, but it's like up and down is the left Pong dude. And then kind of like X and B or whatever the equivalent in Xbox world would be, Y and A, I guess. Like the up and down buttons.
So you're having to micro machines it, basically.
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
Micro machines it. Now, I will say, obviously Pong is best played with a, what is it called? A
paddle.
A paddle, sorry. Yeah, a paddle.
Oh, okay.
So it not having
That's
a paddle is kind of like a bit of a letdown. But it's really cool, and a big shout out to the developer AGG23. We'll have the links in the description and everything if you want to check out the core. But yeah, it's just really cool stuff, and I love the community that's kind of building around the Pocket.
I'm sure there's probably some USB paddle controller that you can probably make it work with somehow, like when it's plugged into the dock. I'm sure there's a way to make that work.
Yeah, well, like because all the code's open
Atari
source, so you can actually configure it a little bit differently if you want. I was actually reading through the code because I have written Verilog and stuff like that in the past, but it's even for me, it's like I look through it and I'm like, oh, this is super intimidating. Like, forget about it.
I also saw in your intro you said you called yourself Analogue-stan. See, when I read it in passing, I thought it said Analogue-san, like Mr. Analog. Analogue-san.
No, I think people hate on me a little bit for liking analog too much, so I'm happy to be the heel.
I think it's really cool. I think it's a part of the gaming industry that needs more exposure in that sense.
We need to have a bet on how many potential analog segments can we have before I actually get my analog.
Oh,
will it reach 10 or will it reach 15? I don't know how many there's been so far. I reckon it's probably been at least 6.
I don't want to manipulate it because I would tend to want to manipulate these kind of things if I thought of the number.
You're going to be like, there's a new core every week. Every single week has an analog story.
But if people release a new core, a new thing, I'm gonna make a video about it.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough.
Like I think
gotta get those clicks.
Well, I don't care about that. I just really like it. Look, what it reminds me of is, and we are old. When like stuff like SNES 9X, ZSNES, all of
Yeah.
that kind of stuff started coming out.
Nesticle.
We were like around when it was coming out, not like when it was already out for like 15, 20 years.
What was that Game Boy? There was a Game Boy emulator that played a prank on me on when the millennium turned over and
awesome.
got me hardcore. Whereas, like, I came home after being out in the city, and it was like it turned the year 2000, and I went to randomly load up this Game Boy emulator, and it basically said this game doesn't work because the date issue or something. And it was just a joke that they put
That
in
is
there.
so cool.
Awesome. That's all. Yeah, that was
Also-
a really cool time, you know, like with Nesticle and just all the different shit that they would do as jokes
I
and
can't
stuff.
remember the Game Boy emulator name, man. Now it's killing me.
Is it like
Anyway,
no cash Game Boy?
No
or-
cash. It was no cash. Yeah, it was
yeah.
no cash. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So like, but this is what kind
22
of
years ago. Wow.
this is kind of what it reminds me of. This kind of stuff where it's like that whole scene was really cool. I remember when it was all developing, and yeah, like the Pocket scene. And I know it's like the Mister stuff has all gone through that, but like again with Mister, like I will get a Mister, but probably more when I can get an arcade machine. But I do love my handhelds, you know, and the fact that I can just play it on the train, especially now that we're going back, well, some of us are going back to work in the office. It's like, again, like handheld stuff is like really important to me. So yeah, like, yeah, very cool core. And yeah, I'll be doing a segment every week because I'm sure there's going to be an update every week.
I'm actually looking forward to it, to be honest. I'm a little disappointed your Amiibo segments aren't here. Not. But I actually do look forward to these ones. I enjoy them.
If it was up to me, every week would have an Amiibo, a Chemco, and an Analog segment.
Welcome to the big week in Chemco Amiibo.
Yeah, you need a
and-
gimmick, Mike. You need a gimmick. You need to have
I need
some-
more gimmicks. Okay.
His
sure.
gimmick is coffee.
Bloody other gimmicks do I need?
Cool.